Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Gift of Healing TV. I'm Sarah Jane. Welcome to this week's programme. And I am delighted to be joined by David McLeod this evening. Now, those of you who've been with us for a while will know that David's joined us before, and that amongst other things, I've joined him on one of his, or several of his programmes, actually, Life Mastery TV. David is an international speaker, facilitator on the subjects of conscious self-creation and shadow mastery. As a coach who works with individuals and groups, David shares his passion in supporting the creation and maintenance of powerful, spiritually rewarding relationships for everyone. David is the founder and co-host of Life Mastery TV. He is also the founder of The Magic of I Am, and the creator of the popular daily affirmation program. For those of you that follow me on Facebook, you will find that I share every day the affirmation that David sends through. So I hope some of you have signed up to receive it yourself. So David, welcome to the program. And what a wonderful subject we've got, affirmations.
Well, and for me, it's good morning, and so good to see you again, Sarah Jane. You and I have spent a lot of time together. You know, it's funny, as you were reading that bio, I was thinking, wow, that guy sounds amazing. I think I want to meet him. I don't know where you got that, but I sure like it. Thank you so much. And yeah, I love doing this stuff. I have been, well, to tell you, is it okay if I tell a little story here just to kind of set the context? About, I'd say, almost 15 years ago, 17 years ago, somewhere in that time frame, I was in a pretty low place in my life. And I had reached a stage where you know, life was pretty bleak, and I was very depressed, and much of this had been my own creation, although I didn't realize it at the time. And well, I got fortunate enough in 2003 to find out about an organization called the Mankind Project, which was an organization for men to make the connection from their head to their heart. It was a powerful, powerful weekend. It was an opportunity for me to release a lot of anger and resentment and shame and a whole bunch of stuff that had been stuck inside me for a long time. And after, one of the things that they did as a result of that was they had men just claim affirmations. And every affirmation took the form, you know, after doing the work, you would make a statement about yourself. And so I would have to make some statement like, I am a powerful man, a loving man, or something like that. And I realized how much power those affirmations actually had for me, because I would take them in and I would recite them and practice them and say them over and over for the following week. And then what I noticed is that as I started doing more and more of this work with men, new things would come up. And so over the course of time, I ended up creating many, many affirmations. All of them were specific to me and my life. And I thought, I wonder if other people could benefit from these. So I thought about taking the ones that I had already written and making them more general, you know, making them less specific about my own life and a little bit more general so other people could use them. And that's where the whole magic of I am concept came from, and the daily affirmation program, the idea to offer them to people. And I mean, these are things that I've gotten through myself. And so I find these affirmations a great way for me to start my day and help me to, you know, reconnect to who I am and to reconnect to, you know, the gratitude that I have for what's going on in my life.
And that's so brilliant, isn't it? Because you've just passed that comment. You start your day with them. So do I. And you've created your own. And I started, affirmations first came to me, I think, reading, I think it was Diana Cooper, who's done a lot of angel books, and who actually lives fairly local to where I am, in Bournemouth in the UK.
Wow.
But I've been in the same room as her, but I've never actually met her. But I think it was affirmations in one of her books. And I took some of those and I slightly adjusted them to suit me. And I think this is what's so important, isn't it, for people? See an affirmation. If you don't want to start with a blank page, as somebody actually says to me, you know, if you start with a blank page, it can be really difficult. And those of us that have written books know that. But obviously, if you can start with what somebody else has put, and think, okay, how can I adjust that works for me?
Mm-hmm.
And it is about repeating them over and over again, whether it's almost a couple of hundred times in the same day or X number of times on a daily basis. I mean, some of the ones I use, I've been doing for years. You said you started to feel the energy of them, and that feel. Did you feel they were true when you first started using each affirmation?
Well, as I was explaining at the beginning, these first came to me because, so imagine doing some very, very deep, powerful personal growth work to begin with, where you maybe dig a little deeper, you discover some shadow that has been keeping you from showing up for, in a way that you would like to show up. And you do a process to help overcome that belief. Once you've completed that process, you've essentially done what I would call some deep root gardening. You've basically taken the weeds at the lowest level and you've pulled them out, and now you've got the fertile soil in which the real true affirmation can reside and grow and develop. Okay? So yes, when I first started, after doing some deep work like that, I could easily believe the affirmation, because it was coming from within me. Now, so that's one way of doing it. Another way, of course, is just to simply make a statement. Like somebody else, like Louise Hay, for example, she does affirmations. I do my own affirmations. The affirmation can show up in front of me and I can look at it and I can say, that doesn't really feel true for me. And so the question I ask myself when that happens is, all right, so what is it about me that is unwilling to see the truth of this affirmation right now? What is the shadow part of myself that isn't wanting to own that aspect of me right now? And so it gives me an opportunity to do some deeper work. And so sometimes I do believe them as they come up, and sometimes I do find myself resisting them. It depends on the situation. It depends on the day of the week. It depends on a whole pile of different things.
I think one of the ones I started with and I struggled with for a very, very long time. And I suppose it was a matter of, to me, the repeating of the affirmation was about helping myself to believe it. And bearing in mind the negative place I came from, I am special, I love me, was hang on a second, I don't know about you, but everything I was brought up with was the one person you didn't love was yourself.
Yeah. And it's a really sad thing, really, that much of our culture, well, I think it's shifting now. I think we're seeing a big shift away from that kind of thinking. But I agree with you. When I was a kid, and probably when you were a child as well, parents told us, you have to put everybody else's needs ahead of yours. That was the kind of the teaching that was brought out. And the underlying message that I took on, and it sounds like you took on too, well, if I have to put everybody else's needs first, that means my needs aren't important, which then I translate to, it means I'm not important. And so that can cause a lot of pain for a little child. And, especially when you're only like 3 or 4 years old, you're learning this, you're believing what your parents say because, hey, they're God to you.
Yes.
So I totally get it. And yeah, it takes a lot of work to undo that thinking.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the joy with affirmations is that you can use them in many ways, because I think the conversations we've just had here, within this 9 minutes that we've been going, there are 3 uses that have almost been. You can start with not believing it at all and just keep repeating it the way I've done, and suddenly one day think, do you know what, I believe that now.
Mm-hmm.
You said, you look at an affirmation, think, don't know about that, and you go in and do some root work to help you believe it, or you've done the root work and then they're just using the affirmation to make sure that if there's a tiny bit of root left, it's not allowed to come out and grow.
Yeah, that's right. Well, one of my teachers, his name is Hugh D'Alconzo. He wrote a book called Self-Mastery, and it's a brilliant book, really, really good. He has a concept in his book that he calls tabula rasa, which means a clean slate. And it's a powerful, powerful metaphor, because what I think it says, and well, what it says to me is, in order for me to write an affirmation in my mind in a way that I can accept it, first I have to get rid of all the other stuff underneath. So if I have some underlying belief that I'm not worthy, that I am not lovable, that that I don't deserve stuff, then it doesn't matter how many times I say the affirmation on top of it. I'm piling it on top of something that just simply won't allow it to pass through. And that is the problem. I have to get down to this stuff first and find out, well, what is stopping this from passing through? And that's where we have to look at our old belief systems, our, the old ways of thinking, some of which are pretty solidly embedded in our minds, and then find a way to overcome those beliefs. Because in my belief system now is that all of us, every single one of us, without exception, is inherently, completely, 100% lovable and deserving and worthy. And I know I've got friends who have done a lot of work who still have a hard time believing that.
Oh, and I think I don't know about you, I see so many things about perfection and imperfection. Well, I'm perfect for a start, and I do love that. I think that's wonderful. But we're all born perfect.
Yes.
It doesn't matter what we look like, how many fingers, toes, limbs, whatever we've got. We are perfect for the life experience we have chosen this time.
Absolutely.
Don't let anybody tell you you're not worthy, you're not good enough, you're not special, you're not perfect, because you are. And to me, everyone is special. There is no one more or less special than anybody else.
Absolutely.
And it's just so, yeah, I hear what you're saying actually about that deep root work. And I suppose in my own way, I've done the affirmation, and I've kept the affirmation totally separate to the fact I've continued working on myself.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not as if I've totally relied on the affirmation, because I haven't. But actually talking to you has made me realize that maybe without realizing it, I have combined the two, but they've appeared separate to me.
Sure. Yeah, I totally get it. And there's something else here too, Sarah. It has to do with the content and the structure of an affirmation. It's easy to say something like, well, what's a good example? The world always provides for me. Well, that doesn't seem to jibe with our experience all the time, does it? So what I like to do is reframe it. I prefer affirmations, and this is why I chose the title, The Magic of I Am. All of my affirmations start with the two words, I am. So there's two important pieces there. I'm recognizing that the affirmation is about me. And secondly, I'm speaking about existing in this moment, right here, right now, in this way. And so the I am is an expression of who I am in this moment, or how I'm choosing to show up, if you like, in this moment. And it's an opportunity for me to just simply have as many different expressions as there are possible of who I really am. And that is unlimited. This is why I keep coming up with new affirmations. All of them, some of them may be slightly the same or similar to ones that I've done before, but they're not exactly the same. And the beauty of it is they're all written in present tense. They're all about, they all start with I am, and they all have positive energy associated with them. So for example, if I were to say I am a non-smoker, the brain doesn't grok that too well.
No.
It just sees smoker.
Yeah.
So what I choose instead is I am healthy, wise, well, whatever. I mean, I'm just making something up right now, in every aspect of my life. And I choose what serves my highest good. Yeah. Now, it doesn't say anything about smoking, right? But what it does say is I take responsibility for my health. And that is important.
Absolutely. And it really is a matter of keep that negative framing out, because
Exactly.
as you said, the non, the not, the no, it isn't registered. So sort of, so I'm not ill just is going to leave you with the I am ill, and I'm not,
Exactly.
folks. Not that I'm aware
Think
of.
about it this way. Think about it this way. How often have you heard the little joke, don't think of a pink elephant?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there's, what is it? There's the old saying, many a true word spoken in jest.
Mm-hmm.
And I know, and I know that to a certain degree relates to other things, but it relates to this too. If you can keep things in humor, it can be true, but it can be easier for people to understand. And so when you're with these affirmations, find something, whether it's humorous, whether it's a routine, whatever it is, find something that it's just part of your daily. I've got one that I use. Shower every morning, fine, maybe a bit too much information, but I wash away my negativity. I wash away fear and anxiety. And I've got a few other bits that I put in there. And in the process of washing, I'm washing it away. So within, I know it's not the I am, but it is to a certain degree.
Mm-hmm.
Because I could say I am washing away, but I just put I wash away. It's the same thing. You can make up, as I said, I was taking affirmations from other people and I was making them fit me. And I love that fact that there am I in the shower, and literally I'm saying I'm washing it away, and I am. And I've added judgment fairly recently into that mix, because it's the one thing I think we could all do with stepping out of. And it's a brilliant way, I've found, for shedding some of the negativity. So you can do with affirmations so much.
Right. I think, the I am portion of it is just my little spin on it. I don't think it's absolutely a requirement. I have my own reasons for wanting to do it that way. What I do think is important is that whatever affirmation is chosen, it should be stated in the present tense as if it exists right now. That's the first thing. And secondly, it should be something that you truly, truly desire to have present in your life. So that means avoiding any kind of negative constructions, negative grammatical constructions, and putting only the positive into the statement. Those are the two key things that I think are important. And if you can frame it then in a way that it is an I am statement, I think it has even more power, because now you're bringing it right into your heart. You're bringing it right into your core essence. That's the reason that I prefer that. But I'm not saying, any way that you do it is good, as long as it's coming from that present tense, it's first person, it's all about you, and it's positive.
Absolutely. And absolutely, because it could, as I said, that affirmation could become, I am washing, which is present. It's right at this precise moment as it's happening.
Mm-hmm.
You could do that washing your hands, if that's what you want to do. And as much as, yes, I know that the words I'm using in respect of what's being washed away, but of course, what we have to remember is when we let go of things, the negative things, we make room for the positive. And so you can do the I am and the positive. So I'm just trying to think, I wash away negativity, I wash away fear and anxiety. So I am happy, I am bold, I am confident. You can bring in those words.
Absolutely.
And I suppose what I do is, by washing away the negative stuff, I'm welcoming in all the positive. And I feel so different years down the line. I know it's been several years I've been doing it, but suddenly it was, but I'm not stopping it, because I know it's working and worked.
Right.
And that's the important thing, is for all of us, don't give up on it. Do it for 5 minutes and say, hasn't worked. If I'd have given up on this when I first started after a couple of weeks and said, what's the point in doing this? You know, the very first one was, I am special, I love me. And that still comes in on a daily basis. And it is important. And I do believe it now, because I believe everybody is now. So maybe for the wrong reasons, but I still believe it. And that's the important thing.
Absolutely. And I think that, you know, you're hitting the nail on the head here, Sarah. I think the important thing is intentionally bringing them into awareness, regardless of what you're doing. You know, as you mentioned, you could be washing your hands and just let yourself think about an affirmation. It doesn't even have to be about washing your hands. It could just be something. Maybe the hand washing just reminds you to think of your affirmation for the day, whatever it might be. Or maybe when you get into your car, as soon as you put your key in the ignition, or whatever it is you do to start your car nowadays, that triggers the thought, oh yeah, what's my affirmation for the day? You just allow yourself periodically throughout the day to remember it. And you could also set aside some very, very dedicated time during your day. You know, sometimes I like to just sit and meditate, and I'll look at my affirmation for the day and I'll say, okay, I'm just going to meditate on this. And I'll just take in a deep breath, inhale, I am, exhale, say the rest of the affirmation. Inhale, I am, exhale, say the rest of the affirmation. And I'll just do that until it just kind of fades into the background and I am just in a nice, quiet, blissful place of meditation. That works for me. It might not work for everybody. But as you say, we have to do what works for us.
Absolutely. And I think what we're here sharing is some of what works for us. And folks, if there's anything here that resonates with you, then take that and do it. Another one I use on a daily basis: as I acknowledge and release my past, old wounds heal at last. Now I live for today and know it is special in every way. And that does, because so many of us are in a negative space in a day. We can wake up in a negative space, and the more positive a space you wake up in, and the more you start your morning in that positive space, yesterday's gone. Yesterday can hurt today, but we can't change it. So let go of it. It's about today. It's about now, you know, and it's the power of I am with the power of now, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. You know, it's funny you mentioned about how you wake up sometimes. I had that exact experience this morning. I was feeling very agitated, and I think I had some kind of a weird dream, and I was even feeling some anger as I was waking up. And that coursed through me for a while. And then this morning when I opened up my own email, I got my own affirmation. And how perfect is this? I am calm and relaxed, and I allow my fearful thoughts to pass effortlessly through me. I thought, wow, how appropriate is that? It shows up exactly when I need it. And it really did help calm me down. I just kind of looked at it and I said, you know, it's true. I've been allowing my ego mind to get all caught up in some angry stuff that really has no relevance at this time, or at any time, actually. And so I calm myself down. I feel that fear just flowing through me, and out it goes. It was just an awesome experience.
And I love that. It's folks, you can change your life or adjust it. If you really don't like the word change, because I don't think it is about change. I think it's about adjusting. It's that aspect doesn't really work for me anymore. So I'm going to let that go. That's great. What is going to work for me? And, you know, every now and again, I think, right, that's had its day. It's time to bring in whatever the next thing is. But when you feel something's had its day, let it go. I don't know when I started it, but it's more recently. And when I say more recently, it still could be a couple of years ago. But when I wake up in the morning, it's okay, right? Because I'd got to the stage where I was waking up really early and worrying about what's got to be done during the day. So I got myself out of that by right, I'm awake, I've got to get up in 5 minutes. Some of my first thoughts, with some thank yous for being alive and being awake and all the rest of it, are, okay, support guys for what I need to do today. And I just go through a whole list of bits and pieces that I know I've got to do. I've put that they're then in my head. I haven't had to spend the night thinking about them. Some people will do that at night before they go to sleep. Some people, and I've got a pad that I write on. Some people get a piece of paper before they go to bed at night. Create routines for yourself. Routines, yes, that can be broken, but create routines for yourself. And so somewhere within your morning process, create a routine for your affirmations. I have that. I have that within my getting washed and dressed routine. All my affirmations get said in that time, which actually means my mind isn't then being bombarded by, I've got this to do, I've got that to do, I must remember to do this, I must remember to do that, I must write that down, etc., etc. And I suppose in its own way, it brings you into the now, because your mind hasn't got that, yeah, as Tommy, your partner on my Life Mastery TV, that monkey mind, that mind chatter. You're not letting your mind do that, because you've allowed yourself the time with your affirmations or with something that works for you, and you're very much in the now of that time.
Right. I really like your word adjust. It brings to mind, a little story that I've heard on numerous occasions. You have an airplane that's flying from Los Angeles to New York. And the interesting thing about the flight from Los Angeles to New York is that airplane is off course about 100% of the time. It is constantly adjusting. And what is it adjusting to? It's adjusting to its navigation system that tells it that the destination is over there. So I can't keep heading this way, right? And so it makes the adjustment to keep pointing to the destination. And it's doing this constantly. And that's exactly what our life is like. If we listen to our mind, if we listen to our chatterbox mind, we end up going off in weird detour directions. If we listen to our heart and soul, we can figure out exactly where we're supposed to be going, and then we can adjust to get back in alignment with that purpose. So beautiful. I love that word, adjust. As for change, I think we're changing constantly anyway. It's the only thing that is constant. And I'm not the same person I was 2 seconds ago. It's all good.
Absolutely. And it really is about allowing the differences to occur. You aren't the same person you were a second ago, 2 minutes ago, a day ago, a year ago. In fact, there was something brilliant, was it on Facebook today, that was very much about, and it was to do with, if you think you've got a good memory or something like that, can you remember what you were worrying about a year ago today? And that's why do we go into worry? And so I'm assuming I am worry-free, because there's no negative in that.
Well, worry is just a focus on what's happening in the future, right? And where it comes from is our fear of the past, our fear of things repeating themselves from the past. And that's, this is a pretty normal thing for us to do. We have ego minds that kind of, their job is to keep us safe. And in keeping us safe, they often make up stuff. And so it becomes what some people like to call rational lies, rational lies. And I like that, because that's what it is. It's just pure illusion. The truth is, there really is nothing to worry about, especially if you can stay present to the right now moment. You mentioned that already. When I'm right here, right now, there's no past and there's no future. So what's there to worry about? Everything is perfect right here, right now. That's where I like to be. That's where I like to be.
Absolutely. So we've talked a bit about the affirmations and your construct of them. And I know that I had several people, because they shared this for us on Facebook, and I know several people said we want to be there but we can't, but they've signed up anyway. And they will listen, because there are people who've got a fascination, and people who share every day. I share your affirmation and other people share it onwards, and I and which is great, which is lovely. But it's really, by all means, look at affirmations that people have written, but think about them for yourself. You know, I've given you a couple that I've created that, and for me, and I think the releasing everything, yes, from yesterday, and I can't remember the wording of that because I say it so automatically every morning, and when I have to think about my affirmations, I don't remember them.
And remember.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And this is how I am with my affirmations. It's just like somebody says, it's just like, actually I can't remember. I just need to go into the right zone for remembering them. Exactly. But folks, you will be the same. Are my affirmations written down anywhere? No, they're not. But actually, David, would you be interested in writing just a little bit, because we could actually put an affirmation blog up on the website, sort of sharing maybe a couple of your affirmations. I will put together some of mine.
Sure. Yeah, I'd be happy to do that.
With that, take them to pieces. Take out the bits that don't feel right for you. Put in other bits that do feel right for you. Do basically what I did with other people's affirmations. I created my own. But yeah, it's just a way of helping people to start without a blank page for affirmations.
Yeah, one of the things that I do with my program, every Sunday I do a video, and the video is, anywhere from 2 to 5 minutes long. And what I'm doing in the video is I'm kind of expanding on the meaning of the affirmation from my perspective, and how it came into being, although I may not use those words exactly. But it's really a little bit of a life lesson, I guess. Such and such kind of happens, and it triggers these kind of thoughts, and it leads me into this way of behaving, and I find that doesn't work. So what I'm noticing is that I can change this behavior by doing this and doing that, and it comes out to this affirmation. That's essentially the formula that I follow. And on those Sundays, I generally also have my affirmations written in a slightly different form. Rather than just my regular calendar layout, I have a picture, some kind of a graphical image with the affirmation printed on top. So here's what I'll do. I'll find 3 or 4 of those that I like, and I'll give you those images, and you can play with those.
Brilliant. Because yes, I read your affirmations every day. I watch your video on the Sundays, and I also actually received from Neil Donald Walsh his I Believe God Wants You to Know, and I love those too, because although they're not an affirmation per se, it's very much about helping you to realize that, and because you and I both have read quite a bit of his work and quote his work quite regularly, so it's that there is so much out there that can help you. And to me, it's look at what's written, and if something really grabs your attention, then take it and form it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's really very much a matter of, it's all out there for you, and the affirmations you require will make themselves known to you. I remember one particular one, and I was working with somebody with the sound energy, and suddenly, as I've said before, I don't hear voices, don't see things, but the words were in my head. I am the love of my life. And I knew that was not just for her. It was for me, and it was for everybody else. because to me, that is an extremely important affirmation. Even if you don't believe it, if you love yourself, if you become the love of your life, that is when love for others can truly be given by you, and love from others can truly be received by you.
Well, I remember that affirmation because I stole it. And I added it to my list of affirmations, and no, it's a great one. I loved it, and I shared that with you. I told you I was going to do that, and yes. I think, I'm not sure if I did or not, but I think I may have actually had a picture created for that one as well. I'll take a look. I'll make sure that that's in the list. Yeah,
because and it's also when we were at the Messenger Summit, and it was, I'm fairly certain it was the second one. So it was the Yosemite one, because that's how David and I met at the Messenger Summits when they were being run out in the States. And I can't remember the name of the lady, but I'm sure she did hypnotherapy. And it was, because it was a Messenger Summit, she was obviously there talking to us messengers. And I think some of us have grown so much since then. It's unbelievable. And she was saying, why would you be here to do what you're doing? And it's, and you know, I use it every day and it's gone again. Oh, I can't believe this. I do it to myself all the time. But we have everything we require.
Yeah.
We are given everything we require. We are fully funded. We have all the information required. We have the access to all the people we require to have the access to. We have everything. I am living a fully funded and supported mission. That's
good.
It. Because we are, every single one of us, regardless of what our mission is, and even if you don't know what it is, folks, everything that you're going through, everything job you're doing, everything you're learning, everything is getting you to that point for where you will find out what it is. And it was just, I loved it when she said about living a fully supported and she said a fully funded mission. I put the supported bit in, because as I said, I'd change it. And to her, it wasn't an affirmation. It was just a comment she made. And I remember going up to her and saying to her, thank you so much for that. Don't leave that out. She's going to sign up. I said, no, I'm not. I've got everything I need from you. Thanks.
Yeah, that's a great line. Well, and it's true. It's true. You know, I am blessed to be supported by an unconditionally loving universe that supports me in everything I do. How about that? I mean, that's really true. No matter how we look at it, no matter what is happening in our lives, everything supports our ultimate purpose of being fully expressed and fully experienced. That's what it's all about.
Absolutely. And as Neil Donald Walsh, I think it was Neil that said it originally, although maybe it was him that actually sort of reported it from somebody else. I don't know. But perhaps when everything is falling apart, it is actually falling together.
Yeah.
And the first time I read that, it was just so powerful, because how many of us have come from a total disruption in our lives, whether it's health, injury, whether it's marriages falling to pieces, going bankrupt, whatever it is. How many of us have come from something happening when we felt like our life is totally collapsing, but it has been the best thing because it's created that everything coming together. So if you're feeling your life's falling to pieces, create an affirmation for yourself that builds that confidence. Is, do you know what? Everything is okay. Everything is in divine and perfect order. Well, we've heard that before, haven't we?
Well, you know, you reminded me, there's a a writer whose name I just don't remember at the O'Hanlon, Bill O'Hanlon. He's a therapist. And he's a really, really brilliant speaker and teacher. And I was attending one of his seminars, and I remember one phrase that he liked to use a lot. Well, maybe not a lot, but it stuck in my mind, was follow your wound. And when I heard that and I understood it, I realized, oh, of course, any tragedy, whatever that happens in my life is the impetus, the foundation for whatever it is I'm supposed to be teaching the world. It really is. All of us have tragedies in our lives. Some seem bigger than others when we do the comparison game. You know, oh, your tragedy was much worse than mine, or some silly thing like that. But the fact is, each of us has our own wound, and it's painful to each of us in its own way. And all of us can learn something from our wounds, and all we have to do is open our hearts and share it with people. That has positive impact in the world.
Absolutely. And it's about sharing your story, which is why I get all my guests to share a little of their story.
Right.
Because our story, and was it Bo Eason that, again, that we messaged something. Bo Eason is about sharing your story, the power of your story, because our stories help people realize they're not on their own. If we can do it, they can do it. They can do it. You know, we've heard people share their stories, and it's been, they can do it, I can do it. It's about it being an empowering tool. It's not about disempowering us. Hopefully we're sufficiently through, but our healing process is still ongoing, and affirmations are just one of those tools that you've used, I use, because it's not an in the past, it's a present. I used them this morning, I'll use them tomorrow morning. I use them on a daily basis. You share them on a daily basis. And folks, for those of you that are watching on YouTube, the replay, you can go right now. You can go to the Gift of Healing TV website. The About Us page will give you the Magic of I Am website, which is magicofiam.com. Yeah?
Yeah.
And I will make a point of straight after this going in and putting it under the YouTube video as well, so that folks can connect. Sign up to receive the emails every day. I have. I've been receiving them for quite a long time now.
Yeah, thank you.
And happily sharing them, because I know folks love them. And so, you know, David, have you got any final words that you'd like to share with us, because we're coming close to end?
Okay. Well, one thing that I would like people to take on as an affirmation for themselves is something along this line, and maybe you can just quietly close your eyes and hear it as if you were saying it yourself. I am an unlimited, magnificent, spiritual being of light and love, and I share myself generously and unconditionally. Just kind of take that in, feel it, and know that it's true about you. It's true about all of us.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And if you can remember it, can you write that one down for me? And then we'll put that in the blog.
Sure. I might not have exactly the same words, but it'll be close.
David, thank you so much for joining us this morning, in your case. Whatever time it is, wherever you are, folks. Thank you so much for joining us, folks. I hope you will sign up for David's daily affirmations. As I said, I receive them, I read them daily, I share them daily as well. And we'll continue to do that, because, you know, as you've guessed, we certainly have met on several occasions. Actually in the same room, not just via the internet. So thank you, David, so much for being with us. Next week on Monday, I am being joined by Virginia Rounds Griffiths and Virginia's going to be sharing with us understanding negative energies and how they affect your life. So I hope you'll join us on our intuitive healing channel on, well, mind you, it'll still be here on next Monday. And in the meantime, folks, have a wonderful weekend, have a wonderful week, have a wonderful life. I hope you'll start using affirmations if you're not already. You'll think about writing your own. And please feel free to contact us if you've got any questions. I'm sure David would be happy to answer as well. In the meantime, thank you very much to David. Thank you to all of you.
Bless you all. Namaste.
Namaste.